Hello and welcome back to the cookie jar. Today we're going to be making the Butter-Scotchies recipe from Candy for Christmas by Joanna Fluke. And for these, you are going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, rack in the middle position. You are going to need 1 cup of butter, that's 2 sticks, half a pound melted, 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 cup of white granulated sugar, 2 eggs beaten, just beat them up in a glass with a fork, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 cups of flour, don't sift, pack it down in the cup, 2 cups of butterscotch chips, an 11-ounce package will do just fine, 1.5 cups rolled oats, uncooked oatmeal. I used Quaker's Quick 1-minute rolled oats. So there are a lot of different kind of oats. There's the rolled oats, there's quick oats, there's steel cut oats. There's so many different kinds. So normally when it's so specific in a recipe, that's normally what I go find. For the actual baking, you're going to melt the butter in large microwave-safe bowl about 90 seconds on high. Add the sugars and let it cool a bit. Then add the beaten eggs, baking powder, baking soda, salt, and vanilla extract. Mix in the flour and then the butterscotch chips. Add the rolled oats and mix in thoroughly. Let the dough rest uncovered for 10 minutes to allow the butter to solidify. You can either drop this dough by rounded teaspoon onto a greased cookie sheet, 12 to a sheet, or roll the dough in balls with your hands and place them on the cookie sheet, pushing them down just a bit so they won't roll off on their way to the oven. I prefer rolling the dough balls. The cookies turn out nice and round. Now, if you've watched the other videos, you'll know that I use the cookie scoop, which is just the same as rolling them and flattening them. But that's my preference. You're going to bake at 350 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes, cool on the cookie sheet for 2 minutes, and then remove them to a wire rack to cool completely. These freeze really well if you roll them in foil and put them in a freezer bag. It says it will yield, this recipe makes approximately 8 to 9 dozen cookies depending on cookie size. And then in the anecdotes, Hannah's note, Mother's friend Carrie just loves these when I use 1 cup of butterscotch chips and 1 cup of milk chocolate chips. That is a way to change it up. Today, I'm just going to do the actual original recipe for it. If anybody tries doing it half and half, why don't you leave us in the comments and let us know how it was. So I've got everything laid out in the kitchen and let's get in there. So here are all the things that we are going to need to make the Butter-Scotchies. We're gonna put the butter on our stand mixer and add in, it says the sugars. So we're gonna add in the brown sugar and the granulated sugar. And then we are going to mix that up. Okay. And here's what we have after a couple of minutes. It says we are going to add the beaten eggs, and then the baking powder, baking soda, the salt, and the vanilla. Love the smell of vanilla. Okay, so next goes in the flour and the butterscotch chips. And then it says to add the rolled oats. Yeah. All right, we are going to scrape the beaters off. Now, it is actually really cold in the house today. It's supposed to be fall, but it's getting more towards winter than fall. So normally with it saying to chill it for 10 minutes, I would probably, if it were during the summer, pop it in the fridge. But being it is so cold, it's not that cold. It's like maybe 50 or so. I'm just going to leave it on the counter. But depending on what time of year you make this, you might want to put it in the fridge. All right. I think we have gotten most of this off. Okay. Just kind of scrape it around. Oop. Okay. So we're just going to let this sit for 10 minutes. I'm going to do a little cleaning up, and then we are going to come back and start scooping them out. It has been about 10 minutes. This is what we have. So it's supposed to go on grease cookie sheets. I have the silicone mats. It does say it's going to take 8 to 9 dozen, which would be 8 to 9 trays. They also say teaspoon sized, and I'm doing a tablespoon and a half. That will probably reflect how many we get and the baking time. Let's scoop them up. So like normal, just take it, run it up the side of the bowl. Be cautious of chips. That's what we got. And plop it down. And we're going to do that 12 more times for this tray. And these, if you don't have your spacing right, move very easily. So if it looks like one has more room than the others, you can just slide them about, unlike some of them we've done. And there is one tray. All right, I'm just going to plop out the rest and we'll see how many we get. We are now done scooping out. We had 4 trays plus 4, that's 52 cookies. They are now going to take a ride in a 350-degree oven for 12 to 15 minutes. And here we have all the finished cookies, all 52. Okay, here is the front and the back. They're very crunchy and they're a little bit butterscotch, but they're not overkill. And you can definitely taste the oatmeal, which I was not worried about, but I was wondering about. Pretty good overall. Just kind of not much, but hey, cookies. So next week we will be doing the 5th recipe out of Candy for Christmas, I believe. It is called the Candy Cane Cookies. So if you like candy canes or cookies or both, join us next week.